What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Ryan Shred, the best in the business, you dig. Ryan Shred TV, you dig. Um, yeah, so Deadpool 2 movie review. That rhymes. I wonder if they planned that Deadpool 2 movie review. That kind of like has a little, not a, I guess I'll say rhyme, but kind of has that little ring to it. But, anyway, so Deadpool 2. The movie? It's pretty fucking funny. I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty funny. Meaning like I don't know. I don't know if I can compare. I'm going to have to watch the first one and like watch the second one again. I really don't want to because I mean it's not like a movie you go back to like to get more of a better in-depth review. But I don't know. I don't know, man. It's harder to compare. I'll say this. This is why I probably have to put the jokes are more funnier in this movie, just because there's a lot of fourth wall breaking in this movie, especially towards the end. And remind you, when I do reviews, I don't do besides the Avengers Infinity War. I really don't do non-spoiler reviews, but if I do, I usually do spoiler reviews. And yes, this is a spoiler review. So yeah, so let's get that out the way. Um, you haven't seen the movie, don't watch the review. Come back and watch the review and like, comment, subscribe when you do. But anyway, so the story is pretty much Deadpool in the beginning of the movie is being Deadpool. They kind of do this, the thing they did last time a little bit, where they start you at a point of the story and catch you up, but it's more shorter for the beginning. Um, Basically, to sum it up, he comes across these bad guys that kill um, his girlfriend. I can't remember her name. So he goes into this depression, and he does end up killing the guy that killed her. But I'll get to the credit scene though. Wait for that. He pretty much he goes into this like somewhat depression, tries to kill himself, and Colossus comes through and bags him up, takes him home to which is the Charles Xavier's home. They actually did have a cameo this time. Last time Deadpool made a joke about how there's nobody in this house, and like basically Fox couldn't afford the budget. Well, they did this time, but only from one scene. Like when he was saying it again, how there's nobody in this place, and then you turn to the left and you see Beast, Charles Xavier. It's the well, this confirms my timeline. I was kind of like, what is the timeline for Deadpool? Unless they showed us already, I just haven't catched it. But it confirms that this timeline takes place around maybe the late 80s, early 90s, 90ish. They kind of narrowed down to the point where Reagan is the president, and I believe he was president for like what? Somewhere in the 80s he was president. But anyway, they showed Charles Xavier. What's the dude that shoots laser out of his eye? I can't remember all their names. The scene happened so quick I couldn't catch everybody. But I couldn't swear. Did I see Quicksilver in there too? I might be tripping with that. I don't know. But yeah, but everyone was in there. So and they had the people that were the past X-Men, not the whole the Stewart X-Men, Charles Xavier, stuff like that. But they do really. The first one I kind of wish they did more of, which they did in the second one. it's kind of like acknowledged the fact that he's in the same universe as X-Men. And the first time in a long time that X-Men actually had a character that they owned at this time, um, show up in their universe, because I was always hoping for like a Fantastic Four, X-Men, versus each other or team up or whatever, but that never happened because he never can get a Fantastic Four right. But anyway, with that being said, what else? Then where was that? So he's at the house. Ends up trying to be X-Men in training. Comes across this boy that has like somewhat iron fist powers, but can like wield fire and just basically burn up shit. Basically, he tries to get through the boy that everything's okay. Then finds out that he's been abused by this little school, by this villain, whatever I don't know his name, but the doctor. And he finds out, then he kills the few of the men, not the doctor, and Colossus has to stop him, and he stops him, and then he sends him off along with the boy into this like super max prison for mutants. And so anyway, and then they have these things on their neck that takes away their power, which means that it gives Deadpool back his cancer pretty much. And it's kind of somewhat sad. I'll say this movie had more of a story. I mean, the last one had a story, but this one, it was like very good storytelling and had a very good story to it. It was a family story, and they very kept to it. The family story. So to speed it up, he ends up getting out due to I can't believe Cable. Cable shows up to the scene trying to get revenge on the boy, because in the future the boy ends up turning into this like somewhat mass killer, ruins the future type shit, like they usually do in X-Men, and ends up killing his family, so he has to go back in time to kill him to make sure it never happens to his family. And yeah, and I'm gonna get to my little theory in a minute. I'm gonna speed this up actually. So Deadpool gets out, all of them get away. The boy ends up finding Juggernaut, and they all come together because they try to bring in the X-Force, but most of the X-Force is killed except for Domino, which I love Domino. So on, they fight, and basically Cable has to team up with Deadpool and Domino and all of them, because he knows he can't take on Juggernaut and the boy by himself. And it's really Colossus that pretty much kicks Juggernaut's ass, literally. Shock his ass, literally. And Deadpool ends up sacrificing himself, and I'll get to that right actually. So Cable saying we give him like 30 seconds to, try to change the boy, try to make him do right, and it doesn't work. He ends up still wants revenge, can't trust Deadpool, and so Cable goes for the gun, and Deadpool runs and jumps in front of the bullet to sacrifice himself, but has the thing on his neck because he wants to die so he can meet his girlfriend again in heaven. And yeah, and when that happening, ends up dying, and his girlfriend tells him it's not time for him yet, so sends him back. And with that being said, and then Cable showing that the friendship and familyship he's building with them. He ends up going back in time to put that little Quentin token they had that he took from Deadpool from the prison that was from his girlfriend's first date, put it where he gets shot at, and pretty much ends up shooting him, but the token stops the bullet, so he ends up surviving. And Deadpool is like, you time sliding slick, whatever he said. It was funny shit. Um, and then after that, what else? Then he, you know, they all end up, getting them, teaming up, and they take the boy to the X-Men, and and then they go off in the distance, X-Force, and it ends in the post-credit scenes is him taking Cable's time machine watch, whatever, and going back in time and keeping from his girlfriend being killed, and then there's those names that were fixing it. Can't remember their names, but ends up, then he going back and killing the Deadpool from X-Men or Origins or something like that, and killing the Deadpool, the version of Deadpool, and killing Ryan Reynolds, the younger Ryan Reynolds, looking at the script that he just created for Green Lantern, and Deadpool shoots the hell out, shoots his head, and then and just like I said, breaking the fourth wall like hella crazy. So here's my theory, though. A little bit. I've noticed a lot of trailers been using the same soundtracks. Besides Predator, even though they use the same soundtrack, but not from Mid-Avengers. But even with Deadpool, at the end where Deadpool is dying after taking a bullet, they use the same soundtrack they used in Avengers when, Thanos is pretty much won. They used the same soundtrack. If you go and listen to the soundtracks for Avengers Infinity War, at the end where I forgot what is it for a track's called For You or something like that, they use the same soundtrack. And then I noticed with even with Venom, the soundtrack for his trailer are the same soundtrack they used for Avengers Infinity War soundtrack. And also that like the Deadpool, I'm like, it's just a way, like, at first I was thinking, well, they're probably breaking fourth wall. If you're like, really knew what that joke was about, you can understand they're breaking fourth wall. But then I'm thinking, well, they did it with Venom, sorry, I always get that name mixed up, Venom. So I'm like, is this a way of Marvel telling us, Disney telling us that they will all connect, like Venom already connects technically with the Marvel Universe, But with the Deadpool thing, is this a way of Deadpool telling us they're connected, or because even with the time traveling thing for Cable, it started reminding me about the watches you see in the photos for Avengers 4. The photo sets. And you see the watches where it looks like they're going back in time with the watch. I'm like, either they're just very, very, what's the word for it? Very convenient. That it's very suspicious to me that a lot of stuff are very similar to the Avengers and the Avengers movie, Infinity War, especially with Deadpool and Venom. So I'm gonna leave it up to y'all for discuss about it. But for me, I'm starting to see a lot of either connections or just jokes or whatever. And the other movie I was talking about, Predator. If you go back and listen to, I think I already mentioned this in the trailer review for it. That if you go back and listen to one of the soundtracks for Jason Bourne trailer back in 2016, Jason Bourne, notice they used kind of the same. They only used it for a small second, and they changed it, but they used the same soundtrack for the Jason Bourne. I'm a nerd. when it comes to like the soundtracks and movies and stuff like that, so I can catch that shit. So y'all think y'all slick. But yeah, that's my movie review of Deadpool 2. Definitely giving this, I'll give it the same rating as last time. I'm gonna give it a 9. It's just the same. I mean, if you were the same for me, but I'll give it a 9.1 or 9.2 just to, you know, just because the fourth wall kind of gave it a more, especially the credit scenes really just is legendary for me. Yeah. So Deadpool 2, 9.2 review.